All right, so let's do some rapid fire. I got some good ones for you here today. Please comment on what you think about them. Some of them, like this first one, is kind of like a holy cow, I had no idea. Let's go ahead and put that first one up there. What you see here is a map of the continent of North America, mainly the Canadian state. See that little red line down there in the bottom right-hand corner? And it looks like, that's where Toronto and all that is. 50% of all Canadians live below that red line.
That's incredible.
Isn't that something? All right, next one. That's just a holy cow blip for the day. Here's a police release artist impression of the man who murdered CNN. Whoever thought it was a good idea to bring Donald Trump on CNN for, I can't remember her name, but
I can't remember her name either, but they thought this was going to end up being a hit piece on Trump, and it turned into a Trump rally.
It turned up to make Trump untouchable in the primary.
Yep.
It's pretty much what it is, but I thought that was funny. All right, next one. Here's another world population map that I found on some World Facts website. In that circle, there are more people living inside that circle than outside of it. So, I mean, that's just rough guesstimate. That's like 1/10 of the whole land mass.
Yeah, that's incredible.
And more people live in that than anywhere else. I mean, that's crazy. All right, next. According to YouGov America's Twitter feed, I know, disclaimer, this is off of u.gov.com topics. These are surveys that they did. They are not scientific, but they kind of show a temperature. This is the good one. Does the Constitution protect unrestricted access to guns for anyone or just the militias? The percent of people who say for anyone in the U.S., total of 61% of adults say yes, it's for anyone. Surprisingly, 45% of the Democrats polled said yes. And then, as you can kind of guess, the independents and Republicans both felt like it does protect. They are for anyone in the U.S. So the next one's a little bit less positive. Most Americans support these gun control laws. Universal background check. 76% of Americans favor these. It sounds good. It sounds like it might have an effect. It's a slippery slope,
yes.
Craig.
Yeah, and it's a bad one, too, because people don't realize what that really means. I mean, just simple stuff. Say your dad has a shotgun.
Yep.
And he wants to give that to his son. Not
without a background check.
Not without a background check. Let's say you and your buddy want to go hunting, and he doesn't have a shotgun. So you just lend him one of yours.
Gets pulled over by the...
Yep. Not without a background check. Yep. And it's just crazy. And the only way that you can actually operationalize that would be with an absolute registry of all firearms so that they can track them.
Which is what they want.
Right. And as soon as they have that, history has shown every single country that has enacted a full registry of firearms has turned around and confiscated them.
Yep. Red flag laws, 68%. This is another slippery slope. Who's making the decision whether you're a red flagger?
Everybody, actually. I mean,
it could be your neighbor.
Your neighbor
doesn't like you parked on
ex-girlfriend, ex-boyfriend, in-laws.
So 68% of Americans are okay with this because they're not presenting it to the public correctly. It's all I don't even know what you call it. It's all colorful language that makes it sound like there's going to be unicorn farts and all that stuff. But it's they're not telling the truth, leaving out truth or lying by omission.
Yep.
Number 3, limiting concealed carry licenses, 65%. Stricter gun storage laws. There's one of those in Columbus.
Yep.
That's falling around or bouncing around the courts right now. Banning high-capacity magazines, 58%. I thought that would be higher, but it's still majority.
All these numbers are kind of troubling, actually.
It is. 58. But we got work to do. That's the gist of this one. We've got work to do. Let's go to the next one real quick. Percentage of Americans who say gun laws should be more restrictive than they are today. 55% of U.S. adults. This one kind of ticks me off also. If you look at they split it up into Gen Z and millennials. 69% Democrats think that the gun laws need to be more strict. And the older generations, the Woodstock crowd,
this would be your Hillarys and your Bidens,
Yep.
and all of that ilk. They've been trying to take guns for years, so is it any surprise that
87% of them think they need to be more restrictive.
Yep.
Republicans are about, that's high. 39% of Gen Z and millennial Republicans.
And even older generations, almost a quarter.
Come on, dude.
You see, and this
they're
is
falling for what the TV tells them.
They're falling for what the TV tells them, and this is one of the areas too. You alluded to it already. You have to take some of this with a grain of salt. I don't know if I completely believe these numbers.
Yeah, that's good. That's true. All right, next one. States with the most job quitters. I thought this was interesting because it kind of matches the electoral map. If you look at some of the hot spot leftard states like California, Illinois, New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, they're all dark red, which means that their employees have a very short time period of staying on the job.
They made me work 8 hours.
I can't believe my boss made me come into work today. And then
3 days in a row.
Some of the people with the conservative family moral values, like your Montanas, your Texases, your Louisianas, they're more likely to hang on to jobs for longevity and
take care of your family.
Take care of your family.
Do what's right.
I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yep.
Next one kind of goes along with conspiracy theorists. I tell you what, they think that is still a bad word to call you that. They think that is deflammatory to call you a conspiracy theorist. I wear it with a badge of honor.
At this point, yeah, because look at the track record.
Yep.
And now, granted, this might not actually be a scientific
I
measurement.
think it's right on the money.
But, man, all this stuff, I'm telling you anymore, the more wacky a conspiracy theory that's out there, the more likely I am to believe it anymore.
That's right. That's right. All right, this one's for Bobo World. This next one, actually, no, this one's not Bobo World yet. The second one is. But anyways, this one, Happy Mother's Day. We just had Mother's Day last weekend. To all the guys that registered their pistol brace. So,
yeah, and with that, on a serious note, the day is coming. It's only in a couple weeks, May 31st. So, don't get caught with them.
Have you heard any more? Are we going to Supreme Court?
It's still just bouncing around the courts.
Yeah.
It's ultimately going to go to the Supreme Court.
But it might be actually intacted for a couple months.
It's going to be completely enforced. So, I'm not saying to go ahead and register all these things as NFA items because I think that's ridiculous. Personally, I would rather just take the brace off and whatever, as opposed to registering it.
Right.
Because ultimately, this is going to go through the courts and it's going to get turned over. And so if you register it, once an NFA item, always an NFA item. So you're going to have all that hassle when you could have just waited. And if they don't overturn it, then our freedoms are just being chipped away. So really, what does it matter?
What does it matter? Yep. Next one. This one's for Bobo. I think he was the one that had the Bud Light comment earlier. I'll just let that sit there for a second. True. All right. Next one. Another Bud Light meme. Bud Light. That's in the tampon aisle, right? I like that one. All right, shout out to Allegheny County Sheriff's Office. Last week they had a event. They set up tents and invited the public to come in and get CCW permits re-upped or new ones applied for, new permits and renewals. It says here they processed 1,092 new and renewal permits during that one day out there. So
that's awesome.
I think we need to prop things up like that you've got sheriff departments that are actually there for the people.
Yep.
So next one, this is kind of something we've seen before. You've got leftard on the left saying gun sellers are accomplices of crimes, and then you got my neighbor standing out there. It says spoons made me fat. So that's a good analogy. Next one is kind of a facts. Did you know it? This one kind of hit me. You kind of said this is the way you saw it. Actually, this is how you would have imagined it. But I I would never have guessed that we were 9th in the world as far as.
Most of this makes sense to me. I thought our reserves were still greater than that, and I still think they are. There's something with how this is worded. This is by proven reserves. So there's got to be something, because right now we can't drill in a lot of our areas, so we can't prove that the oil's reserves are.
Didn't Biden sell a bunch of it to somebody too?
Oh well, yeah, but that was
a bunch of our reserves like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So, but I just thought that was. I mean, I expected Venezuela and Saudi Arabia to be up there, but Canada's got us by 3 times. That seems weird to me. All right, enough of that. Enough of the oil. This next one. Have you noticed, for those of you that are in our age group, 20 to 25 years old?
Yep.
No, I'm just kidding. If you've been on this planet for 40, 50 years like Craig and I have, news articles, news broadcasts on TV from 1975 to 2010, there was virtually no mention of words like white privilege, diversity and inclusion, systemic racism, and unconscious bias. Words that have been used to fan the flames of race, dissension between races. But if you look at the spike after 2010, 2012, right, they all go up like in unison. Like somebody got the memo out to everybody. Hey, start talking about these buzzwords.
Yep, and they're absolutely buzzwords. They're all strung together too in some kind of a weird sentence. And it's ridiculous at its core, but it's also frightening because just look at that, the slope on that. You're just trucking along with, the academics and then like the weird universities, you're bouncing stuff around, and then suddenly it's like they opened Genie's bottle and just released it, and there's almost not a newspaper that's published today that there isn't a story about one of those somewhere on.
And it's on every news program on TV. There's going to be news program is programming. I mean, they are programming us to believe that we're all racists.
Yep. Whether you're aware of it or not, because it's unconscious bias.
What a bunch of crap. Thanks, Bobo. You're right. It was Obama's fault. That's right. All right, this is the one that kind of goes back to what you were referring to earlier, where kind of on the Jordan Neely, Daniel Penny situation, where this would have never even been, we would have never heard about this if there was different skin color involved.
Yep.
So what a news program might tell you, you see the little news camera down at the bottom focusing in on that one little yellow line. In 2018, there were 59,778 instances of white on black crime. That sounds hideous, and it is hideous. Crime is bad is bad.
Yep.
But what they don't show you is the rest of the graph, if you want to look at that. I mean, there's, Hispanic on white crime, white on Hispanic crime. There's only one, Hispanic on black crime is less than white on black crime. All the rest of them, black on white, black on Hispanic, Hispanic on white, white on Hispanic, are all more than white on black crime. Yet, what do they want to propagate? That Joe Biden sat up in front of a black commencement ceremony, a college graduation ceremony, and said verbatim that white supremacy is the absolute biggest threat to our democracy right now. He called it domestic terrorism.
Yes.
White supremacy is domestic terrorism, is our biggest threat.
It's that whole wordplay again. They're now linking white supremacy, terrorism, and domestic terrorists.
Yep. So they can
all together, and they keep saying all those words together, and so you get the NPCs out there. And for anyone who doesn't know, that's a non-player character. If you ever played Dungeons and Dragons and were a total geek, these are the characters. They're not real people. They do whatever they're told. And in this case, NPCs are the people who do whatever the television tells them.
Yep.
So all these people now are just out there just getting fed this line. It's like, oh, white people, white racism, domestic terrorists. They're just linking it all together.
Yep. It's all part of the programming. But you I guarantee you will never see a graph that shows all these. It's always just going to be white on black crime. None of the other racial groups will ever be highlighted or even shown.
Yep, because it doesn't feed the narrative.
It does not feed the narrative. So we'll move on there. The last, no, I got two more. Hat tip Texas gun rights. Red flag laws. I can't talk. Red flag laws. Number one, violate the Second Amendment. I think we can agree to that, right? Yep. We talked about that. It violates the Fourth Amendment, which is
unreasonable searches and seizures. Primarily the seizures, because red flag law, they take your stuff.
Yep. Under the guise of that. It's okay because it's a red flag law. Somebody flagged you for being a potential threat to whatever without any due process, which is violating
the Fifth Amendment. And so people don't realize that what these red flags law what they are. They're basically a violation of almost all of our constitutional rights, all wrapped up into one thing. And they make it sound pretty. It's like, well, it's a protective order to make sure that they don't harm themselves or others. It's like, it could be frauded so much. It could be twisted for political enemies. It could be twisted for a spurned lover. Just anybody could be up for it if you don't have connections that can get you out. But and then, like you have lists up there, disproportionately negatively impact veterans.
Absolutely, PTSD,
things like that. Just being a veteran, people a lot of times have this idea. It's like, oh, you got to be careful around them because you don't want to set them off.
Right.
And so people are going to be hypersensitive. So you're a veteran, you just happen to have a bad day one day, and suddenly you come home and all your stuff's been seized, or puts gun owners' lives at risk and law enforcement lives at risk because you're just sitting at home watching TV and suddenly your door's blown open and people are rushing in. All you know is your home's being invaded.
That's right.
So you might try to do something to defend yourself and then get killed in the process.
Well, I believe there was a story about that. I think it's Massachusetts has red flag laws enacted, and they busted in this dude's house at 3 o'clock in the morning. Just bust in. And of course he pulls his gun out and starts shooting at the cops, which gives them the right to fire back, and ended up ending his life. So it's under no circumstance is this a good idea.
No. Nope.
So, last one, folks. Hat tip Brian Joseph. Check this out. U.S. population in 1955, 161 million. U.S. population in 2023, 332 million. Now look, in 1955, mental asylum patients was 559,000. In 2023, mental asylum patients, 35,000. This is the nutshell of what is wrong today. With, you name it, there are mental illnesses out there all around us, and this is the reason why, because there's no place for them to go get help and and protect them from themselves, protect them from others, and protect us from them.
Yep. And you just summed it all right up right there, because they did away with all these institutions because there was some abuse that was going on. So by abuse, I mean there were people being put into institutions that really weren't crazy, but
red flag law.
Yeah, exactly, same type of thing. Mm-hmm. But usually it was, some relative wanted control of someone's estate, so they say that the person's, they get them locked up and then become their guardian, and there was a bunch of stuff like that. And then there was just abuse of patients in these facilities and stuff. So their solution, just close them all.
Yeah.
So
look what that got us.
Yeah. So I'll go out a number, and I'll just pull a number out of a huge number. Let's go with, say, half of the people that were in the institutions should not have been there or were being abused. Okay, that's terrible. The solution isn't to shut the entire thing down and put all those people out there.
Throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what they did.
Is that a good usage of that?
I hope you've enjoyed this clip from the Craig's Gun Channel Random Shots program. The program airs Thursdays at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. On Random Shots, we discuss content ranging anything from preparedness, survival, politics, firearms, basically anything that's 2A related. with sometimes some rabbit trails on things that aren't related at all. If you enjoy this type of programming, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so that you're notified when we release new content. And if you like it, hit the like button and share us if you would as well. It helps the algorithm and helps the channel grow and helps get our message out. So I guess until next time, stay safe.